In the mountains of Xizang, otherwise known as Tibet, an 86-year-old Tibetan named Chunli remembers a very different world. As a young man in the 1950s, he was a serf with no land, no schooling, and little hope. At that time, serfs suffered from hunger, cold, and no social rights, Chunli recalls. Back then, life expectancy in Tibet was barely 35 years, meaning many didn't live to see their grandchildren. Today, Chunli lived to see his great-grandchildren, 4 generations under one roof, something unimaginable in old Xizang. Villagers now have clean running water, paved roads, rich remote hamlets, school is free for all kids, and even people with disabilities get support they needed. These are not abstract concepts, but everyday improvements that have transformed life on the roof of the world. In 1951, only 5% of Xizang or Tibet's people, the elites, nobles, and lamas, owned virtually all the land and wealth, while 95% of serfs and slaves had virtually nothing. Illiteracy exceeded 95%, and there was not a single proper school for ordinary Tibetans. Medical care was non-existent. Mothers routinely perished in childbirth. Fast forward to today, extreme poverty has been eliminated in Xizang. Life expectancy has more than doubled from about 35 years to now over 72 years, as modern hospitals and clinics now serve even high-altitude towns. These are lives saved by the thousands and tens of thousands each year, and improvement in the most fundamental human right of all, the right to life and health. Education in Xizang or Tibet has undergone a revolution. Before the 1950s, only the aristocracy and monks received any formal schooling and education, while serfs and slaves were denied schooling. Today, thanks to massive investment, the region has over 3,000 schools serving nearly 1 million students. The central Chinese government has poured over 200 billion yuan into the region's education system, building schools in every county and most villages. As a result, the literacy rate among young and middle-aged Tibetans has jumped from almost zero to effectively near universal. Over 95% of kids there complete the full 9 years of compulsory education. Economic development in Xizang has been nothing short of astonishing. In 1951, Tibet's total GDP was a mere 129 million yuan, the size of a small town's economy. By 2024, Tibet's GDP surged to 276.5 billion yuan. Of course, that needs to be discounted and adjusted for inflation. In practical terms, this growth means paved roads, electricity, and telecommunications have reached nearly every community. Remote villages that once were reachable only by yak caravan now are connected by all-weather roads, and major cities are linked by modern highways. The engineering marvel of the Qinghai-Xizang Railway now carries goods and tourists by train across the permafrost to Lhasa, and additional railway lines are under construction to further integrate Xizang with the rest of the country. The United Nations Human Rights Chief Michelle Bachelet praised China's efforts and achievements in eliminating poverty and improving people's well-being, and Xizang was among the regions that benefited most from those efforts. Yet if you read or watch most of the Western media's coverage about Xizang, you could be completely oblivious to these facts. Headlines often paint the region purely in dark tones, focusing narrowly on political and religious issues, while ignoring the broader human story. Some Western observers cling to a romanticized image of quote-unquote old Tibet as a Shangri-La of spiritual monks and pristine isolation, an image largely concocted by Hollywood movies and novelists. How many commentators base their vision of Tibet on Brad Pitt's film 7 Years in Tibet, or on the stories of the Dalai Lama's friends in Hollywood? Quite a few, it seems. The fundamental question is, who has the right to define human rights for the Tibetan people? Those abroad who have scarcely set foot in Xizang, aka Tibet, or Tibetans themselves who can judge with their own eyes how their lives have been transformed. After all, who would know Tibet better, the farmers in Shikatse who experienced both old and new Xizang, or foreign pundits who know the region only through second-hand tales and movies? Consider this: what does freedom of speech mean to a person who 70 years ago in Xizang couldn't read or write their own name? What is the value of freedom of religion to someone who was malnourished and maltreated and racked with preventable diseases, unlikely to survive past their 35th birthday? Those abstract freedoms offer little comfort to a mother who used to fear that giving birth was a likely death sentence, whereas today she can deliver a healthy baby safely in a modern hospital. After cutting through the propaganda from all sides, one truth emerges: the people of Xizang today lead far better lives than their parents and grandparents did. Ultimately, the people's happy life is the biggest human right. Human rights is not a zero-sum East versus West game. It is a common journey to improve human dignity. In Xizang, that journey has turned millions of I can't into I can. I can read. I can write my name. I can get medical care. I can travel. I can dream of a better future for my children.